Hello, good morning. I was doing some movement this morning just to limber up, and I thought maybe you would like to do these sort of things with me. So here I am. This is a video just for some gentle kind of mobilization movements. Perhaps you want to do it either in the morning when we've been sleeping. Sometimes we wake up really quite stiff. Or lasting in the evening, just to kind of calm the nervous system down. So the movements are very gentle. I'm going to incorporate the breath, really move with the breath. So it's quite slow. Always respect where your body is the morning or whenever you do this, and that can really change from day to day. So even if yesterday we were able to do something and stretch or move really kind of big movements and big openings, and today you're feeling different, respect where you are today. And if you do this sort of thing in the morning, then one of the good things, kind of good practices in the morning when you wake up, is to hydrate really well. So depending on how you breathe, especially if you're a mouth breather, or you snore, then you tend to lose a lot of water just by mouth breathing. We lose 40% more water when we breathe through the mouth. So in our waking hours, it's a really good idea to try and nose breathe as much as possible. But obviously in the night, it's out of our hands. So having a good big glass of water in the morning first thing, maybe even putting some apple cider vinegar to it really helps to hydrate us well. Apple cider vinegar is a probiotic. It's got a living bacteria in it, beneficial bacteria. Unless you have a histamine intolerance, in which case you might not want to be using fermented drinks. But yeah, so after hydration, a little bit of gentle movement. We're going to be we are going to be on the floor all of this video. So without further ado, I'm just going to get started. So sitting on your knees. If you're not comfortable sitting on your knees, you may have a yoga block or a bolster. You can just put it in there, and perhaps that takes some of the stress away from the knees. So if you've got any knee problems, that might be more suitable for you. And before we get started, let's just focus on our breath. So keeping the back nice and open, the shoulder blades open, the chest open, the shoulder blades are ever so slightly kind of tucked in. You may even want to bring your hands so that you roll them out, which just opens the chest and kind of slowly activates the upper back, the rhomboids that draw the shoulder blades towards the spine. And let you engage the breath. We'll start paying attention to our breath. So always breathing in through the nose, and maybe breathing out through the mouth like a little sigh. Taking a couple of deeper breaths. And out. You may want to even bring your hands to your lower ribs. And feel how the ribs open up and move to the sides on the inhalation. Really guiding that breath all the way to the bottom of the lungs. I'll just show this to you from the side, making sure that we're not collapsed. So we're just bringing that breastbone so that it points straight forward, maybe tucking that tailbone under a little bit as well. The chin tucks in. It's almost like the breath rises all the way to the back of my skull. Let's do a couple of more. And one more. Lovely. And then starting gentle movement. So I'm bringing the hips so that I'm sitting on my right heel at the moment. In, changing sides and reaching out with the hand to the opposite diagonal upper corner. Really opening up those ribs. And letting the breath guide the movement. And you may want to look towards the ground, just giving that gentle rotation to your cervical spine. So when my right arm and hand reaches towards the opposite corner, the right hip just dips down. And it opens up that lower back. One side, another side. Keeping those shoulders down. So even if we're bringing the arm through, it doesn't mean that our shoulder is engaged and coming towards the ear. So shoulder stays down. It's all about opening this torso on the side. Let's do one more on each side. Big breath in. And out. And last time. And coming to all fours. Let's go into cat-cow, good old cat-cow. Now my wrists are quite tight, so instead of having my fingers forward, I tend to like to put a fist onto my hands, and it supports my my wrist in a different way, making sure that the wrists are pretty much underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the pelvis, and going into the cat. Breathing out, really lifting from the middle of the back, as if there was a string and someone was pulling you up into the ceiling. And I'm making my cow quite a neutral cow, so rather than coming straight away into a big arch in the lower back and looking all the way up, I will keeping it neutral, at least to start up with. So I'm making a neutral cow. Woo. And when I'm in the cat, I'm really wanting to feel like those shoulder blades travel down the rib cage. Letting that neck relax. Head is heavy. Let's do a couple more. And then bringing the bum down towards the heel. If you can't get your bum down to the heel, just go wherever is comfortable for you. We all are working from wherever is where we are, you know. So if you can't get the bum to the floor, that's absolutely fine. It is where it is. The idea is that you reach out with your hand. The arms become quite active actually. It's almost like you're drawing yourself forward with your arms and with your hands, but at the same time there's a counterbalance force. The neck becomes loose and heavy. The bum draws you towards the heels, and all of a sudden there's a stretch in the middle. I can feel this area here around my shoulder blades just nicely getting a good stretch. For a lot of people with lower back issues, this is a really nice space, and letting that lumbar spine just really open. Even if you can't get the bum to the heels, you're working from whatever is possible for you. The idea is just to keep this area opening up. Now what we'll do is we'll bring those arms to the side and out. So here I'm opening the right side of the body. It's quite a strong stretch. I'm taking a couple of breaths there. And on the exhalation, let's bring it to the other side. And that's lovely, and coming back to the middle. All fours, and then we'll bring one leg forward. Now if you got any knee problems, make sure that you're not putting too much pressure through the knee that's on the ground. So how you can take the pressure off is that it's almost like you're pushing off from that back foot, and you're also obviously supporting yourself with your arms. And we're coming to a little lunge and back. So when we come back, we're getting a nice little stretch on the hamstring. And when we're coming into the lunge, we're getting a little stretch on the adductors. You can kind of mobilize that foot as well. So give it something to do. Hello toes. Welcome to today. And let's do it one more time. And now, if this is available to you, bring your arms through, you support yourself, and then you lift your lower leg. Now if for whatever reason you can't do this, you feel that it's not safe for you, or you don't have a good balance, you can keep the lower leg on the ground. But what we'll do, if it is possible for you, we'll bring it forward like this. Your heel comes back, so you get a nice stretch on the calf there. And then what we'll do is reach out and rotate. Reach through and rotate. Let's do 5. Reach out and rotate. 2 more. Reach out and rotate. And last one, reach out and rotate. That's it, bringing that back knee to the ground, and then bringing you can bring your arms to your knee. Again, be mindful if there's any pressure on that knee. And we'll come into a lunge. So we should be feeling a sense of opening here in front of the hip, and we can bring our arms up and sink in. If that's too much for you, you can either just do this, so keeping your arms on the front knee, which gives you stability. You can also hold on to something else. If this is too much for you, for instance for your knees, then skip this one. But if you can, just arms up and out. Let's do a couple of more. Really feeling that opening in front of that hip. And one more. Lovely. And bringing the arms in. We'll change the leg. Maybe sit down. Bring the other leg through. And back and forth. I always like to put some nice gentle music on. I might even ask my husband to do a little backing track on this one. And you know, these stretchy moments, mobilization moments, they really don't need to take a long time. A few minutes goes a long way. So depending on where you're feeling stiff, what you got time for, do what you can. But yeah, it's a lovely little moment to take for yourself. Okay, and now bringing that left foot off, giving that nice little stretch on the core, the calf. And there we are, bringing the arm through and then rotating up. Through and up. I'm well aware that my rotational capacity is rather compromised. I got a, what you could say, terrible rotation on the thoracic spine, which is the kind of mid spine. But hey, we're all working from what's available to us, you know. I'm fine. I'm fine with having rather compromised capacity. There we are. And then bringing that back knee down, liberating that front knee, and then coming into that lunge, opening that front of the hip. Be mindful here not to, when you go into the lunge, not to just hinge from the spine backwards. That will just give pressure, put pressure onto those vertebrae where you're hinging from. It's more just thinking about going upwards with the spine. And really it's about that lunge, it's about opening that hip in the front. And now when we're on our knees, bringing the knees so that they're about hip width apart. Again, if you've got knee problems, be mindful with this. If it feels wrong, then unfortunately it's not a movement for you. You can now bring your toes underneath your feet. That obviously lifts your heel up. If you want to, you can do this like this, especially if you can't flex your toes. So I am going to do it like this. I could do it like this, but this will give me a little bit of a bigger stretch. So before we do the stretch, let's just go back and forth a little bit. I'm engaging my glutes a little bit. I want to have a sense of growing from the spine. So rather than being kind of collapsed on top of my spine, to tuck the tailbone under, feel a little bit of growth on the spine. And by going back and forth, we're just kind of saying hi to our quads, saying, "Woo, how do you like a little bit of movement?" And then what I'm going to do is we're going to do a little rotation. So the left hand comes onto the left heel, and the right arm is reaching over. And breathing in, we're coming into the middle, and breathing out, we're going to the other side. Go with the speed that's available to you, that feels good for you today. And like I said, you can do it also like this, that the hips are a little bit higher up. And it's really about me pushing the hip forward while the spine rotates and goes back. If this is too much for you, you can just bring the feet down, and you can do it like this. So moving how it's available to you. That day. Let's do a couple of more. And you may feel on one side it's much easier than the other. Now, coming onto the knees, let's just open that spine that we've just put so much tension and pressure on, really. So scooping the tailbone under and back. Very simple movement. On the exhalation, really let that neck go. And one more. And you may want to rotate the neck a little bit from side to side. We're just going to do a half moon. Again, getting that slight tension between the shoulder blades, drawing this, the scapulars, the shoulder blades together. You may want to even let your shoulders externally rotate, the palms come and point forward. Feeling the lower back, making sure that we're not arching there. And then bring yourself onto your feet. Now again, this may not be possible for you depending on your mobility, your knee health really. But before we come up and end this session, we're just going to roll from one foot to another, opening the adductors, the muscles here inside the thighs. They get overlooked quite a lot unless you're really into kind of mobilization exercises, the stretching, ballet, dance, often these, or martial arts actually as well, these muscles don't get a lot of tension. So bringing that one knee down, you can hold on to the floor for balance, or you can hold on to the wall or anything that you have next to you, or you can just kind of develop your sense of balance. If you fall from here, you're not going to fall from very high up, so it's fairly safe. Now, if you are lacking an ability to flex your toes, extend your toes like this, so you can't bring your weight onto the balls of the foot, the toe joints, this type of exercise, so kind of mobilizing those toes, might be a really good idea, because if we can't do that movement, it's going to affect how we move in space, and it may put strain onto our knees and our hips, which can then translate further up. So I have a couple of clients who are extremely stiff in their toes, and who, for whatever reason, they've developed inability to do this type of motion, where the knees are folded underneath the foot. But if you have noticed that you've started to get a lot of kind of tightness there, it's a really good idea to do some more movement with your toes, so that we don't lose that ability. It just helps us to move how we're supposed to move. And then very gently you can help yourself up, but very gently coming further up. That's it. Maybe bringing the feet together. I'm going to finish up with a couple of knee rolls. We've been on our knees. The knees have gotten a little bit of a strain. Just a few times, rolling over. Keeping the back fairly straight, so not collapsing onto the back. Having a nice little supported feeling in the spine. And then coming up. Rolling those hips. Oh, that feels nice. And why don't roll our shoulders at the same time? A couple of deeper breaths. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know how you got on. And yeah, I'll see you in the next videos. By the way, if you do have ideas about different videos that you would like me to do, just send them through. I'd be really happy to make something up for you that you'd enjoy. Thank you.